Destination Newry. It's the morning programme. I'm Rowan Hand and this is Cormac Campbell from the Newry Reporter. How are you this morning, sir?
Not so bad, Rowan. You look like a man who's been going around all the supermarkets buying all the cheap Easter eggs so that all the latecomers have to pay like 6 to 7 quid.
Why does he do this to me? Every time this is how he starts off. I'm going to hit him. One of these days I'll hit him on the air. Why would that go? Oh, no, I won't. You're a boxer. No, I forgot. No, he wasn't. No, well, that's good enough for me. I'll not be hitting you. I'll get Sean to do it. He's a cage fighter. What have you got? You own the front page of the paper today.
That's the way it goes. Some weeks you've nothing, and some weeks you've got a few decent stories to rub together. I suppose the first thing that you immediately notice on the front page is it's Easter.
Yes,
Easter.
yes.
So there's a beautiful photograph of St Malachy's P1 students, primary school students, Cormac. Olivia Yauza, excuse me if my
Polish?
my Polish or
Whatever.
Eastern European pronunciation isn't great, and Shane McGurk, just celebrating with bonnets and bunnies.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm sure there'll be chocolate to be enjoyed in the next few days if you haven't already bought up all the
He never stops, does he? I am not a chocolate person at all. No, not at all. It's a terrible waste of money, these eggs, because if you think about it, aren't you better off going and buying a bar of Toblerone or Cadbury's Fruit
Other
and Nut?
brands are available.
You know, but I mean, an egg, you're just getting a shell and you pay £10. It's nonsense.
But the experience, Rowan, you've lost your joie de vivre.
No, my joie de vivre is I boil the eggs and paint them and go up onto the fields and throw them down at the cars passing by.
Boiled eggs?
Oh, yeah, because I don't want to destroy the cars. I just want to give them
A dent.
So there's going to be chocolate. It's Easter time.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
Easter in the air in the Reporter, in a sense?
Well, the last few days have definitely been
They've been Easter
pleasant,
like, haven't
fairly,
they?
fairly pleasant.
Yeah.
So I think there's a prediction that it's going to be fairly
A
decent
good
over Easter weekend.
yeah.
So
I note the bluebells in Narrowwater Wood on the way up the road from Warren Point. They're in bloom now. They're just starting to come into bloom. Bang on in time for
cue
Easter.
every photographer in the country
and
every bride
oh,
getting a photo
absolutely.
taken.
And child and all the rest of it, yeah. But it's nice. It's a nice part of the world there. The moon, this full moon this morning, the last 2 mornings was excellent. Did you see it?
I didn't see it this morning. I saw it last night.
Fantastic.
It was
full
amazing.
moon.
It was massive.
Absolutely wonderful moon over Carlingford Loch and the lovely silver pathway out across the water.
Would you notice
Nice.
people's behaviour changing because of the
I
full
don't know.
moon?
Do you believe in that?
Yeah.
Do you believe that happens?
Oh, certainly.
For the better or for the worse?
Well, certainly we would get more unusual stories.
Really, at the time of the full moon?
Yeah, yeah.
You're joking?
No, I'm not joking whatsoever. Yeah.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Supposedly gravity and lithium in the brain had shifted.
Shifted, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, the moon is said to have been a lump of the earth thrown out there, you know, many years
That was the Isle of
ago.
Man and Phil McCool.
No, the moon is
Loch
said.
Ness.
The moon is said to come from this earth. Now, I'm not quite sure how it got its perfect orbital shape and all of that.
Is it not
but
made
it's-
of cheese? Did they not make it at the old Armagh Down a few years ago?
That was Cormac Campbell. You've been listening.
Anyway, on to more important things.
Yeah, do that.
Right, you'd mentioned you'd told the world that the Viking hoard had been found at
Yes.
Narrowwater. It hadn't. Well, they're not confirming that it had or it hadn't, but they have found something of interest.
Mesolithic.
Mesolithic and medieval settlements. Now that in June and July 2013 they did some excavations in the area. It's just on the south side of the loch, so on the Cornamuckla side. And archaeological text excavations undertaken under license as part of the Narrowwater Bridge project uncovered the remains of 3 burnt mounds at the site of the project. Among the findings were an early medieval industrial site, which includes 2 cereal drying kilns, a metalworking area, a series of pits of various sizes, spreads of hardened deposit cut by a post-hole line, no idea what that stuff is, and an overlying spread of charcoal-rich sands, which covered the majority of the excavation site. Now, we've brought this information to the geotourism people. I believe Siobhan has been in with yours.
She's coming in today, I believe.
So it was
Siobhan
actually one of
Power.
our colleagues, Dr. Vanessa Ryan, who's an archaeologist, and she was saying that whilst this may not be Viking finds, it's highly expected that there are Viking
You would think
materials
so,
in Carlingford Loch.
because they came as far as they went into Dundalk Bay and settled in Annagassan. They were there for a long time, about 1,000 and more of them. The place there is called Linducal, and it's the Pool of the Dragon. And it was there That's where they fetched out from, out into the open sea and then away down the coast and all that. So it'd be quite.
Well, they're said to have raided a monastery in the Carlinford area.
Wow.
So there's more to be found.
I think so. It makes sense, and it's not in real terms. It's not all that long ago, you know.
No,
you can
but
consider
it's
and it's well protected. It's well
in terms
preserved.
of archaeology, it's fairly glamorous.
Yeah, we want Vikings, don't we?
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
Give us a tourist industry based
on archaeology.
Yeah.
But we had the Navan Fort fellow in here yesterday from Armagh, and he said, yeah, we have a big thing on over Easter. And I thought he was going to tell me about some interesting piece of archaeology. It's like Bill and Ben they're putting on for children. And I said, what's that about, you know, in Navan
Draw the
Fort?
crowds in.
That's exactly what he said, to draw the
The early
crowds in.
Celts had a tremendous interest in sea babies. One of your favourite bugbears now, the council chamber. There's been growing.
I have to tell you, in all honesty, I don't have a bugbear anymore.
Right.
In my life, I had many bugbears, but once you hit a certain point in your life, you chill a wee bit more than you ever did. But you do have to rage against what you perceive to be a nonsense.
Well, certainly, a number of councillors have now stepped forward to agree with your own to say that they believe that the plan to refurbish the council chamber at a cost of £346,000 is a nonsense. The two leaders are Councillor Brenton Kern and Councillor Conor McGreevy.
Yeah.
Brenton Kern, he has said that the proposal is a farce and shouldn't be seen in isolation, especially when you consider that the long-term future of the Arts Centre and the Town Hall must be considered. Councillor Kern's suggestion is that perhaps the actual auditorium of the Town Hall could be very easily kitted out to become the makeshift boardroom until a long-term solution is found. He says perhaps the Arts Centre or the Town Hall will never be a fit-for-purpose theatre again, and we should be looking towards a new theatre with the Town Hall refitted for more political purposes.
Yeah.
Councillor McGreevy, for his part, he ultimately would like to see the sale of the current council offices at Monaghan Row to the Health Trust, something that would allow Daisy Hill to expand, secure its long-term future, and also provide the council with the money to build a new HQ. But what he has also raised is failing that. He has suggested that the chosen option is needlessly expensive because one of the other options put forward was significantly cheaper. Ratepayers could have saved about £75,000 had a separate option been chosen, which makes you wonder. Like, I've been in the council chamber on numerous occasions. All it is a room for a meeting to take place.
That's all.
You know, there's nothing fancy or glamorous needed. So
from your observations of the council chamber, just as a layman looking at it, is it possible to fit another 11 people in there for the period of 1 year?
Well, it's 5 years. It's 5 years.
It's 5 years, okay. But it may not be 5 years. Because that may not be the headquarters for the new council.
More than likely, they're going to
be splitting it, yeah.
So both need
a place that will do.
41 people.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is the current chamber wouldn't, I don't believe, fit unless you go for a tiered system.
A tiered system, like the House of Commons.
So if you go for that system, and if you worked it properly, perhaps then you could move those structures into somewhere else for different functions, maybe for artistic purposes or theatre purposes. Yeah. But you could if you did that, but it's not just so simple.
They're kind of going off the notion of the 300,000, 400,000 expenditure.
But they've already agreed and works to begin in May, so there's a very limited shelf life. If they're going to change,
they're going to need to pull the plug on it now.
They're going to need to pull the plug quickly.
But this is a reason for everyone to tear up their voting registration forms, I would suggest.
Yeah, but if you don't vote...
The plague being all there. But
if you don't vote, then there's a difference between spoiling your vote and wasting your vote.
Yeah, but I mean, if we have voted, and this is the crowd of charlatans we have got that are going to spend £400,000 in the blink of an eye to accommodate 11 other councillors. We got to say no, we got to say stop, don't do it. You're not fit to be there, get out. Go sell cabbage in the market.
Well, you have an opportunity to, when people come around the doorsteps in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
They'll not be coming to my doorstep. I'm got very Shakespearean from the upper balcony.
You live in an upstairs flat with the Riser, Damien McCullough.
Stop!
No.
I most assuredly don't.
No.
I'm an individual who lives
I thought
alone.
everyone in Destination Newry.
You thought we all lived together?
No,
we don't.
No.
Not at all. I live in a penthouse apartment in Warren Point, where I will throw the contents of a potty out on top of councillors as they call. And I really have very little time for them when they talk about spending that amount of money. You know, it really is crazy.
The Environmental Health Department will be around to
yeah, but
check
then
on
I'll find, you
waste in
know,
the street.
absolutely.
A more pleasant story now. This is quite unusual in the sense that I've asked a few people and they really certainly don't believe this can be beaten. Whether it's equalled in the area, I'm not entirely sure. Now, there's a gentleman I went to school with, Jonathan O'Hare from Warren Point.
Yeah.
And he's actually a medic in the Irish Army. And his wife, they had a little baby 5 months ago, little Aoife. And what's unusual about Aoife is that she is now the 5th generation living on her mother's side. So it's Aoife, Mother Marion.
Oh, yes.
Find the list. Granny Grania, great Granny Eilish, and great Granny May. So God. 5 generations.
Yeah.
Can that be beaten in the area Moran area?
That's a good question.
I'd be amazed if there were 6 generations of one family living.
Indeed.
I'd be surprised if there was many families of 5 generations.
Absolutely.
So it's a really nice story, and we've a beautiful photo of the 5 generations together.
That's nice. Yeah. That is
so according to Marion, that great Granny May is the first on the dance floor and the last off it at family parties.
Yeah.
I'll try and move on. Again, a little more positive news. Every April we do a high street survey of Hill Street and Monmouth Street.
Yeah.
And essentially we do a tally chart of ground floor premises, whether they're occupied, whether they're vacant, and also keeping a note of whether they are going to be occupied. So what we found was that in April 2012 there were 30 vacant ground floor premises on Hill Street and Monmouth Street. Last year that had dropped to 29. This year it's dropped to 21, but there's 2 buildings about to open. So it'll actually have dropped to 19 in the space of a year. So a lot more positivity on the High Street.
I think perhaps too the question is a question of sustainability. Well, you know, will they be here in a year's time or 2 years' time?
A lot of the premises are privately owned, locally owned, which is probably a difference from what we saw up to about 2007 where it was multinationals.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging that if there are profits to be made, to be staying locally.
In the locality,
Certainly. But what also we've seen is that the old tax office on Merchants Quay has now sold.
Who's got that?
As well. I'm not entirely sure, to be quite honest. But it is sold, which is very positive news, especially when you consider the public realm scheme isn't yet finished.
Yes.
So people are perhaps looking out going, that's worth investing in. And there's a number of premises along Merchants Quay. And to that point, Jack Murphy, the chairman of the City Centre Management, he has said that that's what he hopes to see and expects to see, because given that Monmouth Street and Hill Street were refurbished 2 years ago, and now we've seen the benefit of that in terms of more businesses opening.
Well, it's all healthy. It's all good. It all sounds good. Have you one last thing for me there?
One last news story for you. I'm a big fan of the restoration of old buildings, but this building's been largely destroyed.
Quarry Square.
Quarry Square.
Yeah.
Now, this is a building that has lengthy history. It was used as a military billet at one stage, but also as a private school. Now, it was half knocked down. It was a beautiful old building, which was a real shame. But for 5 years, there's been plans by the whole Fold Housing Association to regenerate the building. Now, for various reasons, among them parking, planning permission wasn't delivered. But at Monday's planning committee meeting, it was confirmed that approval.
They've approved. So that'll be going ahead.
That'll be going ahead.
Brief look at sport for me, please.
Brief look at sport. Newry Olympic, we mentioned last week that they were headed for big things, and they came through. So they rounded off the most successful season in the club's 103-year history by clinching the 3rd trophy of the year in Dublin on Saturday.
Wow.
So they won the Irish Hockey Trophy after beating Bandon from Cork.
Excellent.
So a fantastic year for them, and I think they're expecting perhaps their numbers to swell as people see a little bit of success.
They're a strong presence out there.
Definitely.
In Belfast Road.
The Down League started, so there's reports from some of the major games. From a local point of view, the Battle of Newry turned out to be more of a skirmish. It wasn't,
that was Mitchells and Shamrocks.
No, it was Shamrocks and Bosco.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't the most spectacular game, but Bosco, who've just been promoted actually to Division 2, they won 7 points to 4 at Park Esler.
Okay,
So,
okay.
if we move on to soccer,
Very quickly there, please.
A much better week for Warren Point,
Uh-huh.
who they recorded a 4-0 win over Dungannon Swifts at Dungannon Swifts. Obviously, it's a pitch Warren Point have been
We're very used to. That was their home pitch for a time.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
So that really strengthens their position in the top league, and it'll really help them in their chances of survival. One final sports story is in relation to the Sacred Hearts netball team.
Oh, look at them, yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so they've
people.
done the double. The junior netball team became history makers twice in the last few weeks when they won the Northern Ireland League title for the first time in the school's existence, and then did the double by winning the cup final.
Well done.
So there's a beautiful picture of the team.
It's a good picture,
yeah.
it is.
So Mark
Cormac,
and
thank you very much indeed. Go well.
You too.
Coming shortly here, Declan McChesney coming in to talk about 5 hours parking for £1 coming into the heart of Newry.
beat it.
We'll have You Couldn't Beat It. Some music, Andrew, please.